Mel Robbins, Stop Saying You're Fine, the No BS Guide to Getting What You Want. It comes when you least expect it. You feel that spark of inspiration. A new path in life suddenly seems possible. And for a fleeting moment, you can see change right before your eyes. Then something grips you. The impulse fades. Maybe tomorrow, you tell yourself. It's a pattern that repeats itself in careers left unexplored, relationships squandered, and dreams deferred. But what if you could seize that critical moment? In this blink, you'll explore why so many people remain stuck, despite knowing deep down what they want. You'll learn simple strategies that can help you bridge the gap between intention and action. The path forward isn't a matter of grand gestures. It starts with understanding what happens in those pivotal moments of choice. Pressing the snooze button. Inside each of us, two opposing forces constantly battle. One is a powerful drive that wants to grow, discover, and take action. The other is resistance, an evolutionary bias towards safety and routine. When we feel bored or unfulfilled, our power is off and resistance dominates. Allison called into Mel Robbins' radio show seeking advice about becoming a professional actress. When she was asked how long she'd wanted to act, she replied, "My entire life." But when she was asked when she last acted, her answer was startling. Never. Despite dreaming about acting for decades, she'd never auditioned for a play, taken a class, or even joined Toastmasters. Her excuses revealed what the author Mel Robbins calls a chicken mindset. Fear had paralyzed her, preventing any action that might move her toward her dream. Brian, stuck in traffic during his daily commute, mentally replays how he ended up trapped in a mortgage industry job he hates. He blames his company, he blames his wife's desire to stay home with their children, he blames the economy, anyone but himself. His jerk mindset of frustration and blame keeps him circling the same problems without taking responsibility for change. Resistance manifests in two self-defeating mindsets. The chicken paralyzes with fear and anxiety, constantly asking, "What if I fail?" While the jerk justifies inaction through frustration and blame. "It doesn't matter anyway," or "I don't feel like it." Both mindsets kill our dreams before they ever have a chance to come true. So why are so many people caught in this cycle of inaction and regret? Our modern world amplifies these tendencies toward passivity and resignation. The foundation of human happiness is a sense of control, but today's constant economic shifts, technological changes, and information overload teach us that too much lies beyond our influence. When feeling stuck, we begin rewriting our history, viewing past decisions not as achievements, but as sacrifices that limited our potential. We convince ourselves we're fine while longing for more, trapped between where we are and where we want to be. Recognizing that trap is the first step toward breaking free. Launch into action. When you're stuck in that cycle of hitting snooze on your life, what ultimately breaks the pattern? Action. Those who succeed in changing their lives share one common trait. They take action despite their fears and frustrations. Colleen is 42 and longs for marriage and children. Every morning, she stares in the mirror, wondering if it will ever be her turn. What if, instead of surrendering to this pattern, Colleen took concrete steps toward what she truly wants? She might explore adoption, consider dating divorced men with children, or investigate single parenting. If she did, she'd break free from her paralysis and start creating the life she desires. This powerful version of Colleen wouldn't wait for perfect circumstances. She'd move forward regardless of her fears. To conquer your resistance, Robbins recommends a powerful tool she calls the 5-second rule. It's simple. When an impulse to act arises, start executing it within 5 seconds. Imagine you're at home scrolling job listings when you see a perfect opportunity. In that moment, either you immediately write that email or application, or your brain will generate excuses until impulse fades. Those 5 seconds are crucial. They represent the gap between intention and action, a gap that either closes or grows. The path forward doesn't require a complete life overhaul. Instead, focus on reclaiming control over just 5% of your life. Make sure you dedicate at least that much energy to activities that truly energize and inspire you. It might not seem like much, but this modest foothold creates an anchor that reorients your entire perspective, making everything else more tolerable. When the inevitable negative thoughts arise during these efforts, respond to your doubts with a simple but powerful mantra. Shut up, I'm doing it anyway. This phrase helps you bypass both the chicken's paralyzing fear and the jerk's stubborn frustration, allowing you to take meaningful action regardless. And remember, the tension between where you are now and what you want to become isn't a sign of failure. It's what makes you human. We all long for more. Acknowledging this longing means you're ready to stop hitting snooze and finally wake up to your own potential. The saboteur within. Do you ever feel like your own mind is a saboteur? When Lisa's assistant raved about her homemade granola and suggested she sell it, Lisa briefly imagined a new career for herself. For 5 precious seconds, possibility bloomed. Then reality crashed in. Where would she sell it? Would she need a commercial kitchen? How would she balance the new business with her job? Within moments, her dream dissolved into a fog of practical worries. But these weren't genuine roadblocks. They were her brain's sophisticated defense system activating to protect the status quo. Our minds constantly undermine meaningful change through what Robbins calls anti-actions, behaviors that consume the time and energy needed for genuine progress. You want to get in shape, but hit snooze, extend lunch breaks, and run urgent errands that mysteriously eat up gym time. You dream of finding fulfilling work after raising children, but convince yourself you're underqualified while channeling energy into rearranging furniture or organizing photo albums, projects that provide fleeting satisfaction while quietly sabotaging deeper desires. Some of this self-sabotage may stem from powerful evolutionary biases. Our brains evolved in environments where caution meant survival, creating a negativity bias that prioritizes potential threats. When contemplating change, your mind operates like an emergency room during a holiday weekend. The most alarming cases always receive immediate attention, drowning out positive possibilities. The key to breaking through begins with recognizing your dominant self-defeating mindset. Do you become the fearful chicken, paralyzed by anxiety and worst-case scenarios, or the frustrated jerk, manufacturing anger and blame to justify inaction? Lisa finally counteracted her resistance by transforming thought into action. She told her assistant she'd pursue the business and requested accountability. This simple act created momentum, where previously there was only hesitation. If you really want to grow, another key component has got to be embracing discomfort. When Ellen walked into her first yoga class, resistance screamed at her for 90 minutes straight. Her arms shook, sweat pooled onto her mat, and her brain manufactured countless reasons to leave. But she stayed, and a decade later, she owns her own yoga studio. Resistance still makes appearances, but Ellen's become more adept at pushing through it. Waiting for circumstances to change wastes precious energy and time. The reality is both stark and liberating. Change is entirely in your hands. You and you alone are responsible for making it happen. Your brain will generate resistance to any meaningful change, but understanding its deceptiveness gives you the power to act. Our brains consistently distort our view of future outcomes. Research shows we dramatically overestimate how badly things will go when attempting something new, while simultaneously overvaluing what we already have. This status quo bias explains why people remain in loveless marriages for years, constructing elaborate justifications while expending enormous energy to preserve things as they are. When you push beyond these mental barriers, you discover capabilities far beyond your self-imposed limitations. The path through discomfort doesn't just lead to achievement, it changes who you are. You know the truth. Sarah called Robbins's radio show ostensibly seeking help with her boyfriend's inconsiderate morning habits. He'd routinely wake her up by stomping around the apartment. But as they talked, a deeper pattern emerged. This was Sarah's third controlling relationship. Her previous boyfriend, an older television executive she'd dated for 7 years, had eventually broken her heart by yielding to his disapproving parents. Rather than face the pain of seeing him daily, Sarah abandoned her dream job as an assistant producer, effectively ending her television career. 5 years later, she was living in a studio apartment with a younger boyfriend who can't pay his half of the rent, working as a bartender at a hospital doctor's lounge. Her complaint about morning noise was merely a decoy, a safe problem that distracted her from confronting the painful truth. Her life was heading in completely the wrong direction, and she felt powerless to change it. This pattern of avoidance is remarkably common. Our brains deploy sophisticated mechanisms to insulate us from uncomfortable realities. When life fails to meet our expectations, our minds convince us that we're fine, despite lacking satisfaction. We stay busy to prevent reflection, directing our attention to superficial issues rather than root problems. Beneath this resistance lies shame. Embarrassment, yes, but also the profound discomfort of confronting our imperfections. Society doesn't help. It creates pressure to appear happy, making honest expressions of dissatisfaction feel like a social liability. More insidiously, shame sometimes masquerades as pride. We tell ourselves that soldiering through unsatisfying circumstances demonstrates moral fortitude, when actually, it reflects fear of change. We create false dichotomies. Since having an affair is wrong, staying in an unfulfilling marriage must be right. Since neglecting your children is wrong, keeping that soul-crushing job must be noble. These false dichotomies trap us by ignoring the full range of possibilities in life. To help you break free, conduct a structured life audit across 7 domains: family, love and sex, spirituality, career and purpose, friends and community, body and health, and money. For each domain, rank your satisfaction from 0 to 10, documenting specific reasons for your assessment. Then for each domain, draw a line down a blank page. On the left, write down, "What bugs me?" On the right, list, "My excuses for inaction." This exercise helps expose the rationalizations that are keeping you stagnant. The final step requires physically marking through your excuses, labeling them as manifestations of fear and resistance. Display these sheets prominently, somewhere you'll see them daily. Displaying this life audit in your everyday environment manages your attention, essential in our distraction-filled world. You'll be systematically confronting the barriers between your current reality and the life you want. Mapping your future. After years of silence, Tom yearned to reconnect with his daughter Emma. He'd abandoned her during his battle with alcoholism, and though overwhelmed by regret, he couldn't find a way forward. Rather than remaining paralyzed by uncertainty, Tom created a map of potential actions, writing letters, sending support checks, requesting mediation. Instead of plotting a single rigid path, Tom identified multiple routes toward reconciliation, allowing him to pivot when Emma initially rejected his outreach. Creating an effective map begins with understanding what a map really is and should be, a visual representation of all possible paths toward your goal, not just one. Conventional planning often involves a linear set of instructions that collapse at the first obstacle. Instead, picture a large piece of paper with dozens of circles, each containing a specific action that moves you closer to your destination. This comprehensive view allows countless navigation options to help you deal with roadblocks. When creating your map, resist the urge to organize actions sequentially. Life rarely unfolds in perfect order. Draw a river with stones across it where each stone represents a different action. You don't need to cross in any particular sequence. You simply need to reach the other side. Approach it as creative brainstorming, capturing every possibility that emerges regardless of timing or practicality. To populate your map with actionable steps, employ these proven strategies. First, approximate your dream by identifying smaller versions you can implement immediately. If opening a bakery is your goal, begin baking daily, then volunteer for friends' celebrations, next offer small catering services, and gradually scale up. Each circle on your map represents one of these stepping stones, collectively creating a path to your larger vision. Another approach, follow the leader, leverages a concept from cycling. Following someone creating a wake that reduces your effort by 30%. Identify individual people who've achieved your goal and study their paths meticulously. Add specific circles for research Jane's career path or contact Rob for coffee. People who have already successfully navigated your desired territory. Lastly, convert obstacles into action items through strategic reframing. When you hit a barrier like, "I lack funding," create a map circle stating, "Get advice on securing startup capital," or "Research small business loans." This subtle shift transforms roadblocks into things you can conquer. When consulting your completed map, remember that activation energy, the impetus required for initial movement, diminishes rapidly with delay. Select any circle and act within 5 seconds before hesitation starts to creep in. For Tom, this meant writing his first letter to Emma immediately after thinking of it, leading to multiple attempts and eventually a successful reunion with Emma. Remember, any and all forward movement will help you build the momentum you need to carry you toward your goal. The main takeaway of this link to Stop Saying You're Fine by Mel Robbins is that we often sabotage our own progress through inaction and denial. When we feel stuck, we're caught between two forces, our desire for growth and our desire for safety. These are two harmful mindsets, the fearful chicken and the frustrated jerk, both leading to inaction. To break free, the 5-second rule is key. When you have an impulse to act, execute it within 5 seconds before your brain generates excuses. Create a map of multiple possible paths toward your goal, like stepping stones across a stream. Embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. And remember, no one else will do it for you. Lasting change is always in your hands.